Hello, welcome to the Retro Game Club podcast, episode 198, which is also season 7, episode 9. I am Rob, and joining me this time is the creator of Doodle World and Doodle World 2, Nate Peters. Hi.
How's it going?
Good.
Glad to be on the show.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. I can't wait to, in a few minutes, get into talking about some Doodle World stuff. How's everything been going?
Great. We just finished the Kickstarter for Doodle World 2, and we launched that at Midwest Gaming Classic this year, and that was a lot of fun. Got to run into a lot of old friends and got to spend time even talking with Hughes for a little bit. So it was a great time.
Nice. You been up to any other retro gaming or anything like that?
No, not lately. The Kickstarter kind of consumed my life. So
I could imagine. Before I have a note here of something I want to bring up at the top of the show so I don't forget. If we have any listeners in Australia, let me know. Give me a shout out. I'm thinking about putting a care package together of a lot of my duplicates of games. They're all in pretty good shape at least. So if anyone is interested, email us, email@retrogameclub.net, and possibly you will get some nice duplicate games. I'm trying to think what else do we have here? Oh yeah, did you do Free Comic Book Day this weekend?
no, I'm not a comic book guy.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Have you ever done you've never done a Free Comic Book Day?
No, and it's odd because, in high school, I worked at a comic book shop. I worked at a record store / movie store. It was a chain of stores called On Cue.
Mm-hmm.
And it was owned by Musicland and Sam Goody, and they would put them in smaller towns. And it was basically like an all-encompassing entertainment store. And so I sold comic books for years, but no, never got into them.
Oh, that's like a dream job for a high school kid.
Yeah.
Well, at Free Comic Book Day, I'm one of those jerks that usually gets comic books digitally now because, I don't know, it's just easier to read there. But
Yep.
Free Comic Book Day, so you line up, and you get 4 free comics. You get to choose from 20 to 30 comics. And I got a bunch of video game ones this time. So I know our listeners can't see, but I'll hold these up to the camera. I got this new Mega Man comic.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks good. I haven't checked this out yet. It's episode 0, so I might be hooked on the series after that. Street Fighters versus what is this? Rival Schools. I don't know what Rival Schools is. It seems like it's some kind of anime. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yeah, I've never heard of that either.
And I don't know I don't know about you. I don't know any Street Fighter lore. I don't know the story at all.
No, that's one thing I'm horrible at. I know zero fighting game lore.
Yeah. I just go there to punch people.
Exactly.
So this one, I'm excited about these next 2 that I got. The last 2 I got. It's a new comic book just titled Star Wars. And so what this is and why it is important is because it is the first, I know people are going to email to correct me. I'm just leaving out a lot of details. So just assume what I'm saying is correct. This is the first comic book that takes place right after Return of the Jedi. It's the first it's like a continuation of Return of the Jedi, like part 2 of that movie. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah. It's like a story I would actually want to read. And then a comic book of my favorite TV show, which I didn't even know existed, Black Mirror.
Yeah, I had no idea they were making comics for it.
Yeah. So I haven't read any of these yet, so we shall see.
And it looks rather pulpy too.
It does, yeah, exactly, yeah. And it says San Jupiter, which is that's an episode from a season or 2 ago. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then I just wanted to mention that the Neo Geo turned 35 this week. I don't know if you're a Neo Geo fan at all.
Oh, I'm a huge fan. I'm just, it's one of those systems that even growing up, I've always lusted after it, but I've never even known anybody that's owned one.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't think growing up, I don't even think I knew one person that owned one.
Yeah. I think it was the first and only luxury game console ever made.
I think That is correct. Like, I think you could argue the 3DO was kind of luxury, but it sure didn't feel that way.
No, it didn't. Definitely felt much cheaper than a Neo Geo.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, Neo Geo, I think, kind of kept that luxury-ness going for a while because it had a while before anything else could really catch up to it. And even after that, it wasn't until like the 32X or the Saturn that you could get like proper ports for it. At least that's how it felt.
Right. Yeah, it felt like the first true arcade ports at home.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't know if anyone is in our Discord that's listening to this, you probably see all these random pickups I post. We have a pickups channel in the Discord. And I recently got from Play Asia there are 4 Switch carts. You could get them download, not physical if you want, but of Neo Geo collections. So if you want to celebrate Neo Geo's 35th anniversary, maybe look into those. It's a good way to play them.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, Doodle World. I was happy and surprised to see this Kickstarter pop up.
Yeah, we kind of shadow dropped it at Midwest Gaming Classic. I didn't really tell anybody it was going to happen, and we kind of just went with it. And that's kind of the way I wanted to do it. Just kind of throw it out there. I mean, I feel like with the first one, I really busted my butt trying to get this Kickstarter, do everything just right because it's my first game out there. Mm-hmm. And the second one, I kind of just said, we'll just throw it out there and see what happens. And so, yeah.
If you could give, let's start with Doodle World 1. If you could kind of give a quick reminder of the listeners of what that project was, what it turned into, and how it morphed into Doodle World 2.
Sure. So originally it started out as part of a game jam for the NES maker Bite Off, and it was originally called Doodle Land. And the original screenshots and everything are still up in their forums of what it used to look like. And it was all based on my daughter, who at the time was 4 going on 5 years old. She would draw these doodles on paper. And I was sitting there brainstorming, trying to come up with an idea for a game. And I saw her drawing these and I thought, oh, that's a perfect idea. Let's make a game based on just drawing and doodling.
Yeah. And
the platformer just kind of built itself from there. And she's kind of been my inspiration ever since. I call her my creative director.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. So that game came out. It was, at least from my perspective, wildly successful. Like if I programmed a game and it did as well as that, I would be ecstatic.
Yeah, it's kind of overwhelming how successful it became. I really wasn't expecting that at all. I mean, it spawned a kind of a remix version that we launched with Limited Run Games a couple of years ago. We released it on the Switch. It's on the Evercade. There's a demo on the Poly Mega. We're on
wow.
Ant Stream. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I have people come up to me like, your game is everywhere. How'd you do that? I'm like, it just kind of happened.
And so is it NES Maker that kind of allows these ports to modern systems like Polymega and Evercade?
No, it's actually just the companies themselves, like Blaze Entertainment that runs Evercade. They reach out to different developers saying, hey, we're doing, an indie collection. We have an emulator-based system. Would you like your game on it?
So you just hand them the ROM pretty much.
Exactly.
Wow, that's awesome. So when did you decide to do Doodle World 2?
Oh, that was probably about 3 or 4 years ago. I started working on it and just kind of life happens and gets in the way. And I've just kind of slowly been chipping away at it over the years. And it finally got to the point where I'm like, I need to kickstart this and finish it. Otherwise, I'm never going to.
Mm-hmm. And is it still a family project?
Oh, absolutely.
Nice.
My daughter's actually working on the cover art right now.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. That's great. Hey, there should be a Doodle World comic. How about that?
There should be a Doodle World coloring book.
Oh, yeah. That's a great idea. I like all these.
I was at Midwest Gaming Classic, and Adam, who developed the Dungeons and Doom Knights series and has the 8-bit version, he has a coloring book for his game. I'm like, why don't I have a coloring book for Doodle World?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I feel like that does need to happen. And so between Doodle World 1 and Doodle World 2, what's different other than obviously like new levels and stuff like that?
So obviously, like you said, new levels. But what we did is the original game, the whole aesthetic is all on notebook paper, and we wanted to kind of take it in a slightly new direction with it. So instead of just being notebook paper, we've added the new levels are all based on other types of paper. So you have like the old preschool handwriting paper, the brown paper with the red and blue lines.
Mm-hmm.
And there's legal pad paper with the yellow paper with the green lines. And then we have graph paper levels as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we tried so many different mediums. At one point, we were going to go off the paper and do like chalkboard and whiteboard and watercolor levels, but they just didn't work on the NES and on a CRT.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's a lot to think about. Were there other than that, were there any other ideas that didn't work because of limitations?
Mostly just color palette limitations and CRT limitations, because I always develop for the CRT first.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't look good on my CRT, then I throw it out.
Yeah, yeah. So what's that testing process? You know, because if you're coding in it's NestMaker, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So if you're coding in NestMaker, you're doing it, on a laptop or some type of LCD screen, and then do you just pop it in like an EverDrive or something, or how do you do that?
So I've got flashable carts and a cart flasher, USB cart flasher. You can get them from, I think they sell them. Joe sells them on the NestMaker site, or you can get them through Infinite NES Lives as well. And what I'll do is when I'm to a point where I want to test it on a CRT, normally I'll test it in Messen on my desktop.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm ready to test it on the CRT, I'll either flash it to a cart and throw it in my top loader and test it directly to the CRT, or I've got, from my desktop, I've got an HDMI converter that goes to RCA into my CRT TV. So I can just drag a Messen window over and do it. But a lot of times the colors on Messen aren't always exact, so it's always best to test it on true hardware.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a cool system. And then you also have a dash in this one as well, right?
Oh, yes. So the original Doodle World was just your basic run and jump platformer. And with Redrawn, we added a double jump because a lot of people would play the first game. They're like, well, this could really use a double jump. It would make it even more fluid. So we added the double jump. And so for Doodle World 2, we took that to another level with the double jump. And now there's an air dash that you can do as well.
Nice. That's cool. So I'm trying to think of an analog to a different series. Like this isn't a like Mario to Mario 2 USA kind of thing. It's more of a maybe Mega Man to Mega Man 2.
Yeah, more like that, I guess. The difference is you get all these abilities right at the start.
Yeah. Or sorry, that'd be Mega Man 2 to Mega Man 3. Because is that where I forget where he gets a slide dash or something. Or is that a charge shot? I can't remember.
Right. All those games run together.
Exactly. Yeah. So do you have, this is a question I specifically put on my notes to ask you. For Doodle World 1 or Doodle World 2, were there certain games that you would play that you would say, this is, like the jump physics I want, or this is the float physics or the walk acceleration physics that I would want in my game? Like, did you model any of that after other games that just felt right to you?
Definitely modeled it after the Super Mario Brothers series, specifically Mario 3. I feel like the physics in that game are just perfect. And also like Tiny Toon Adventures.
Mm-hmm.
That game has amazing physics for a platformer. It just feels right. What we did for Doodle World Redrawn is I redid the physics for it. A lot of people don't realize that between Doodle World and Redrawn, I redid all the physics and made the jump and his speed slightly faster. So it's a little bit faster game, but you really don't notice it unless you're paying attention. And everything on Doodle World 2 is based off the Redrawn engine.
Okay, cool. Nice. And so other than, NestMaker, what tools did you use? Did you write this out? Like, do you design on paper first, or did you have to design any specific plugins that, NestMaker didn't have like built into its platform?
So for the design process, a lot of it was done on paper, and we were trying to come up with different mediums. I had to buy a chalkboard to kind of get the idea of what a chalkboard would look like, what a level would look like on chalk.
Yeah.
I used a small whiteboard to test stuff out, but yeah, I have all the different types of paper in the house, and we would just draw it out and test it out. And as far as software goes, aside from NestMaker, which I use for asset management, I use Notepad++ for all my scripting and coding. And then for asset design, I use Sprite for all that stuff.
Okay. Since I haven't ever coded a NES game, I don't know. I mean, I know Notepad++, but I don't know the other stuff. And then, so was there anything other than, you said you sped it up a little bit? Was there anything from Doodle World 1 that, after you released it, you just, maybe get time to finish something, that you got into Doodle World 2?
Well, I think the biggest thing was probably the double jump.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest changes we made from 1 to 2 is there were super crayons in the first one that gave you limited invincibility. And after watching a lot of people play it at shows and conventions, I found that just kind of a useless thing to have in the game. It really didn't add much to it. So for the second one, we completely took them out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's really, it's unusual to remove stuff from games, but that have it add to it. But it seems like, you found one there.
Yeah, it's just trying to distill a platformer down to its basic levels is what we were trying to do.
Now, you mentioned you ran into Hugh at Midwest Gaming Classic. He emailed me right away saying like, hey, guess who I ran into? And that's how I heard about the Kickstarter. And he was like, by the way, Nate mentioned he fixed the only thing you didn't like about Doodle World. And I can't remember not liking anything about it. So do you remember what that was?
Yeah, and it's stuck with me too, because it's one of those things.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend anyone.
No. No, it's not offensive. It's just it's stuck with me because it's one of those things that in a way it can be difficult to fix, but at the same time, if you work everything out right, it's not. And your biggest complaint was that you wish the crayons could be different colors.
Oh.
Because every level the crayons are all the same color that you collect.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also a palette limitation.
So how did you get past that?
I've just gotten better with how to utilize my palettes.
Mm. Wow. Well, that's awesome. I can't wait to see the different color crayons.
but when you said that at the time, it wasn't something I even thought about. And you were the first person to ever mention that. I'm like, you know what? That's actually a good idea. I need to work on trying to figure that out. How can I make the crayons different color?
I know you're just in the, in the thick of it and releasing this thing. But do you have any future plans, even with your current games, like other systems, ports? Is there going to be a Doodle World Advance 4, Doodle World 3 situation?
Honestly, I think after this release, I'm probably done with Doodle World for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be kind of pigeonholed into just making those games. I really want to try something different. And I've got some other ideas. I keep a notebook. Every time I come up with an idea, I just write it down real quick.
Do you think you're going to stick with the Nintendo Entertainment System or move to different platforms for a game?
Definitely probably stick with the NES. I really like working with it. I like working within those limitations.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And you have your setup all ready to go, too. You don't have to change anything.
Exactly.
Well, cool. So right now, so people know we're recording on May 7th, which is actually my 1-year anniversary of moving.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah. We actually had to cancel this for a day because I went out and celebrated a bit too much. But since the Kickstarter's already closed, right?
Yes.
So in the future, or even now, is it possible to pre-order Doodle World 2 or even your previous Doodle World games?
So the current Doodle World games, well, the original Doodle World I still have for sale. I sell it on my website at doodleworldgame.com. Redrawn is, as far as I know, through limited run, completely sold out. They may have a few remaining copies they put up every now and then. Mm-hmm. I have, I think, 4 copies left myself, and those I exclusively just take to conventions now and sell them there. And for Doodle World 2, we're pushing for an October release, but I'm expecting it to be sooner. And once I get it out to all the Kickstarter backers, then I'll open it up to everybody else.
Okay, cool. And yeah, and Evercade too. The Evercade almost works like a limited run, right? Because they only do 1 or 2 runs of each cart, I think now.
Yeah, I think now they're starting to slow down on their releases. Probably has something to do with tariffs and everything else. Previously, they would continue to produce a cart as long as it sold.
Okay.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll find Doodle World 2 on another Evercade cart as well.
Yeah, yeah. Yep. And you said Polymega, there's a demo of Doodle World. Is there going to be a full release?
That I'm not sure. I haven't talked to them in quite a while. This demo was given to them probably about 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh,
Yeah. And as far as Antstream, expect to see it on Antstream as well after October.
oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's a good idea as well.
Yeah.
So, are there any upcoming events you're going to be bringing Doodle World to where people could play it?
Yes, actually, we'll be at the ATG Expo in Waco, Texas on, I think, June 14th and 15th.
Oh, cool. Cool.
And beyond that, I haven't booked anything yet. I normally do the Classic Game Fest in Austin in July, but I think I'm going to skip it this year.
Is that a pretty big fest or just?
It's a pretty good show. It's 3 days in downtown Austin,
Mhm.
and it usually kind of breaks up my summer, so I'm going to probably skip it this year and push for some later shows later in the year.
Well, cool. Cool. Well, if people want to reach you, what's the website again and any other place?
Sure, the website's doodleworldgame.com. You can find us pretty much on every social media platform at Doodle World Game or myself at Nate Peters.
Well, awesome, awesome. Well, I can't wait to play it. And you want to do a podcast with us here?
Sure, why not?
Sure, sure. Well, next we have the news segment, and it's been a while since I've recorded, so some of these news items might feel like they're a bit dated, but this is a retro show, so who cares?
Yeah, who cares?
But Michael Bay and Sydney Sweeney are doing a OutRun movie, which really shocked me.
Yeah, I'm wondering how is this going to work? Now, it made me think about, I don't know if you remember a while back, they did a Need for Speed movie.
I don't remember that.
It had the guy from, what was that, Breaking Bad, the young guy in it.
Oh, I do remember that. I just think I forgot that it even released. Did you see it?
It was that great.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, if they can make a movie out of Need for Speed and come up with a story, they can do it for OutRun, but I can't imagine it going to be any good.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if this will be like a Cannonball Run type situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And let's see. Oh yeah, this one's crazy. So AmigaOS for Commodore computers just released an unexpected update. There's AmigaOS 3.23, which a lot of people might say, like, wait a minute, AmigaOS 4.x is released. That's actually newer. The AmigaOS 3 series is for the 68,000 Motorola chips. The 4 series is for the PowerPC chips. And this is crazy. Yeah, 50 fixes, a few updates, and it uses 12K less of memory. And yeah, this is really great. I don't know if you were ever an Amiga person.
No, I was not, but it's really neat to see them releasing an update after so long with, an actual substantial update.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only time I was really ever using an Amiga, we were lucky enough to have a video production class in my high school. I graduated in 96, so they had a video toaster. I think it was an Amiga 2000. It was pretty powerful, and I just kept thinking, like, I think I had a 3D616 at the time, and I remember thinking, like, and I think I had a Mac too. I think I mentioned a few times how lucky I was. Well, it wasn't lucky for my aunt, but she closed a print shop, and I got to buy a nice Mac from her, and this felt better than both of those,
Yeah. Yeah, I graduated in 97, and we didn't have a video production class. We had a yearbook class, and we used Macs for the yearbook design.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But no Amigas there?
No.
No, it was pretty cool. The video toaster was great technology. Speaking of limited run earlier, this one is mostly sold out, but limited run released a Doom and Doom 2 physical, and there is a Will It Run edition, which Doom actually runs on the box that you get it in. That's
Yeah, my first thought of this, knowing the limited run crowd, is anybody even going to open it and play it?
exactly.
Or,
Yeah.
or is it just going to sit on a shelf wrapped up?
Exactly. And I feel bad because that's how my I don't do many limited run. I just got the and again, I know it's groanable at this point. If you're on our Discord, we have a pickups and collection channel, and I feel like I'm the one posting there the most. It's almost showing me I have a problem, but I just got the here, wait, I could get it here. It's the what's it? Virtua 2 Xbox One physical, which is
Oh yeah, I saw that on the Discord. Yes.
yeah, limited run. That one caught me. I've been trying to get away from limited run, but what I was going to say is what I treat like that is the Evercade cards. I feel like I get those and put them on my shelf, and I should really open them up more.
Yeah, same here. I, for someone who's actually published with them, I don't have a lot of their stuff either. I'm not into the whole collector's edition items anyway. If I'm going to buy something, it's going to be so I can play it and not sit on a shelf.
Exactly. And the reason why a lot of this stuff, you can't see it on my camera. Of course, the listeners can't, but I have a shelf next to me here with a bunch of games, and the ones that aren't open is just because like I haven't had time yet. It's not because I'm trying to keep value or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I've got games on my shelf. I won't open a game until I'm ready to play it.
Exactly.
But it's not there to hold value.
Exactly. And actually, my kids getting old enough to start playing games have helped with that because they'll see a game and it hasn't been opened yet and they want to play. I'm like, oh, yeah, let's definitely open this up and check it out.
Right.
But yeah, that's Doom playing on a Doom box.
I'm actually curious what the hardware is behind that. What are they using to run it?
Exactly, yeah.
They don't give any information.
I'm sure some...
I may email them and...
Yeah, if you do, please write in and let us know, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, the next one. This is so cool. So there is another physical release, and I just checked on Etsy, and this is still available. It's sold out 3 times already. Someone has created a version of Windows for the Game Boy, and it does include Minesweeper. It includes the media player and a few other things. And yeah, this plays on Game Boy and Game Boy Color, and it looks awesome. The video here is, I think, from Twitter, and it looks great. It's 40 euros.
Yeah, it does. And this really shows like the power of GB Studio and what you can do with it as far as a development platform. Some of the games that some of these people have designed with it have just been amazing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I always forget that exists. Do you know what? So what language do you program NESmaker with?
Assembly.
Oh, you do? Oh, I had no idea. I didn't know if it was like, I know there is like some weird tool where you program in JavaScript and it can make like a NES game, but so I didn't know if it used like a simpler language. Wow.
No, it's using assembly on the back end.
But
all the scripts are in assembly.
Okay, so you're actually coding in assembly. Wow.
Yep.
So do you know what GB Studio does? What it uses? Let's see.
Not offhand.
Is it C? It looks like C and SM83 assembly.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing as well.
Yeah, interesting.
Huh. But I've messed with it a little bit, and it is very drag and drop, and it's a neat IDE to play with.
Do you think there'd ever be a world that exists that Doodle World ends up like a Game Boy port happens?
Oh, absolutely. I could see that happening. I mean, the assets are already there. It's just a matter of tailoring them to the Game Boy format and screen size. Which, if I remember correctly, the Game Boy Color screen size is actually slightly bigger than NES.
Oh, yeah. So and there's got to be, some GitHub script that's like convert this asset to the right ratio or whatever. Yeah. I feel like everyone's created that stuff for us already.
Oh, yeah.
And then, we've been talking about collecting, and one reason why a lot of us collect is to help with keeping, all these assets alive, since if you don't, they just kind of get forgotten about. Well, Square Enix Capcom, Taito, and Sega have committed to start archiving past development material. And so
That's awesome.
yeah. Who's helping this is, I just had it open. Oh, it's GameMaker.jp has all the
Hmm.
details. So they list how each company is preserving things. And Taito even said, like, well, these arcade games are huge, but they're committed to trying to do better.
Wow. That's something I've made a point to do with all my development. Any materials, anything I use, even if it's a paper copy, I save everything for
Yep.
Doodle World
Well,
and archive it.
in 50 years, we're going to need Doodle World 50, and
Right?
it'll be just like that. Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. I'm glad you do that. Well, that was our news segment, and now we have our game club, the whole reason we're here.
Oh, yes.
And so this time I picked Impossamole on the TurboGrafx 16. And so the reason I did that was two reasons. In the Discord, it was overwhelming that people wanted more TurboGrafx games, which I love. I'm sitting next to my collection of them right now, and I wanted a reason to play more of them, mostly on the Analog Pocket, actually using the physical cards. And so I wanted a game I did not own growing up. And so for this episode, I actually bought this on eBay. And the lucky person got to ship it from the States. And so, so Impossamole is a 1990 release for TurboGrafx. It's a sequel to the Monty Mole series, which I'd not heard of until doing this episode. Have you ever heard of Monty Mole?
No, I had not.
I think it's more of a European thing. I think it was on like the ZX Spectrum and stuff like that. And so this is like the third or fourth in the series. And aliens give you a superpower because you are the chosen one, and you need to retrieve their scrolls for them. And this is a kind of action platformer. The powers they give you this like super kick. This game was, like I said, released in 1990. I think the graphics are fine. The gameplay is a bit dated. The soundtrack, though, oh my God, the soundtrack in this is a hardcore banger, especially the intro. The intro graphics are great. It's like kind of a comic book opening, a bit like a more cheesy Ninja Gaiden opening, which whenever you see that on an 8 or 16-bit console, it's always impressive.
Mm-hmm.
My problem with this game is mostly that the enemies, they'll turn around. So if they get you, they turn around and immediately get you again, and you can kind of be swarmed pretty quickly. And my second problem is the undodgeable enemies. There's a few that it's like, I don't know how, even with practice, I wouldn't get hit. It almost feels like it's cheaper than most arcade games. But if you fix,
Yeah, I would agree.
If you fix those two things, it's a pretty good game. The jump mechanic feels great. The kick, once you get used to it, it looks like you don't kick far, but it gives you a much bigger like hitbox. And then your actual hitbox actually feels really fair. And I enjoyed playing this. I do think it looks good. Does it look like it was released in 1990? Like maybe a little bit before that. It feels like this was made for a bunch of the 8-bit computers at the time. Oh, I forget the exact ones, but it almost feels like they wanted to make sure it'd be easy to port to like the C64 and stuff like that.
Yeah, to me, it felt very much like an Apogee style scrolling platform.
Yeah. So, and I should mention, I'm glad you said a name of a company, but this was by Gremlin Graphics and then published by NEC. Originally developed by Core Designs, which did, Tomb Raider and stuff like that. And I guess this is on the Rick Dangerous 2 engine, which again, I guess because I'm not European, I don't really know Rick Dangerous. I know I kind of monologued there, but what do you think about this one?
So, like I mentioned, first, the graphics are great. I really like the graphics, and you're right. The soundtrack has no business being that good.
Yeah.
But to me, the core mechanics of the game just really threw me off, and I couldn't enjoy it. The like you said, the enemies that chase after you, the hitboxes, the the jump to me felt a little floaty
Okay, see, I
than
like
what I
that in
like.
games.
But the biggest gripe I had was, and it's, I don't know if it's something I noticed because doing development of side-scrolling games, I noticed this more, but I did not like the you were you lean to the right more as you scroll, as you walk. So you're not centered in the screen.
Oh, okay.
There's more
Yeah.
to the left of you than the right. And so you don't get that full experience of what's ahead of you. Like their padding is off on the screen.
Yeah, where you might as well be playing a Game Gear game at that point.
Yeah. And that just really bugged me the whole time I was playing it. Like
Interesting.
I kept walking backwards thinking I had to reset the padding, but no, that's just the way they designed it.
And you know what? You really hit on something I didn't think of. Yeah, if they would have fixed that one thing, the game would have been a lot more fair because those enemies kind of pop out of nowhere.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a fine game. It kind of feels like I think it's like in the middle of like TurboGrafx games where I've said a lot, like TurboGrafx may not have like the all-time greatest games, but they have a lot of pretty good games. And this is probably in the lower half of that.
Yeah, I would agree.
And then I don't think any of us had a chance to play the Magic Candle.
No, I do not have that kind of time to devote to a game like that. I did watch a let's play of it, and it looked really interesting, and it looked like something I would have been really into at the time. You know, as a kid, having a lot of time to devote to something like that. It was a very in-depth RPG.
Yeah, it looks really impressive. Other than it says it was released in 1989, and it really looked like a 1983 game.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that as well.
Yeah, like an Ultima 2, tier graphics, which is still good, especially for like an Apple IIe or something like that, and some pretty impressive animations. But yeah, you use we probably watched the same video, but you use a verb system, so you select like walk, use, eat, magic, inspect, and stuff like that.
Yep.
You could use a joystick or a keyboard. And yeah, it looked really cool. It was ported to C64 and DOS. It had 2 sequels and a lot of spin-offs. And then I think, as Ken mentioned, the developers just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ken, if you're listening, I'm sorry. Some people if Ken is listening too, some people in Discord did mention getting a juiced.gs subscription. So a few more Apple II enthusiasts out there now. So as being the guest, you definitely get to pick a Game Club game that people get to play next. Which do you think you would choose?
So, like I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite NES platformers is Tiny Toon Adventures, and I checked your extensive list, and I haven't seen it on there. So I'm going to go with Tiny Toon Adventures for the NES.
Oh, I'm excited for this one. And I every once in a while will watch people speed run this one. It's a very tight game.
It is.
And I'm going to keep it simple this time. And for a reason, I'm going to do Qix, Qix. Play it on anything, NES, Game Boy, Apple, DOS. To keep some Discord people happy, will likely play it on NES and TurboGrafx. A lot of people don't realize there's a TurboGrafx version. And so if any listeners have any feedback on these games, email at retrogameclub.net. And we do have a few emails here. Would you care to take the first one?
Sure. So Majors writes in and says he got behind again, but it's a retro podcast, so here's some retro feedback. Because when Rob mentioned screaming into the radio, do younger generations even know what a radio is?
Good point. Yeah.
All the tunes coming from their handheld phones. He personally would have gone with screaming into a boombox to keep the 90s vibe.
Yeah.
And regarding tossing shade on Psychonauts, he never finished Psychonauts, but that didn't stop him from buying it twice. And he gathers that from Rob's statement that he did not enjoy it as much as I have.
I like Psychonauts. It just, It stayed in, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of stayed in the gaming conversation for longer than I thought it should. Like, I don't know if I would consider it a classic, but it's a pretty cool game.
It's a good 3D platformer, but yeah, beyond that, I mean,
it's no Mario 64 or something like that.
I really don't see how it had legs.
Interesting story, though.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Regarding Contra Hardcore, the game, he mentions it's a good thing that Rob corrected himself on Hardcore for the Genesis and Mega Drive. He doesn't want the landslide of but actually emails to come in. Just like in Hughes' recent review of Midwest Gaming Classic, he mentioned that Space War is one of the earliest video games instead of calling it the de facto first game.
Yeah.
And also of note is the 360 PS3 era release of Hardcore Uprising, which is very much a Contra sequel, but lacking the Contra name.
Mm.
And he really enjoys hearing about Zach giving old electronics to his son to take apart because he can relate to that. His mother would buy him cheap electronic devices like hair dryers and clock radios from Goodwill so he could take them apart to prevent him from taking apart other stuff in the house.
That's a great idea.
He feels like, right? Yeah. He feels like Zach's son is on a good path for tinkering to desire to learn how things work. And he mentions a really good book that he should check out called The Way Things Work by David Macaulay. It was a favorite of his growing up.
Yeah.
And regarding Zach messing with floppy drives, he says he's given up on floppy drives when using older PCs, but on a related note, he was working with an MSX and learned a FAT12 format for the first time. And apparently it's the MSX drive limitation when using DOS 1.0. Normally an MSX would have enough RAM to run DOS 2, but giving the user FAT16 support.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know about FAT12. That was a strange one.
Yeah, it really was. And regarding E3 show floor access, user secondary protocol mentioned getting into E3 with a borrowed badge, and he has a story on that as well. That he used to work for a small payroll office, and he would print out fake payroll checks to prove to his friends that he worked in the industry to get access to purchasing E3 tickets when it was an industry-only event.
Oh, nice.
Wow. And see, on Game Club games for RoboCop, in the arcade, he enjoyed the RoboCop game for 1 credit at a time, but when having it on free play or using an emulator, it can get boring in the later stages. Ports of the game were good for a rent in the 90s, but never one he would own. Skip 30 years, and now we have RoboCop Rogue City, and he enjoyed Rogue City for all its callback and themes. Any fan of Robo should play it. But wait for a Steam sale or a discount bin. You know, on that note, when I had my MAME cabinet in my house, I sold it, I think, last year because I ran out of space in my game room and I had to get rid of it. In the same way, anytime you put certain arcade games on free play, they really lose their appeal.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you play through them once and then that's it. No reason to do it again.
Yeah, so I can relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. What else do you have here? Oh, he mentions that looks like the podcast is approaching number 200, and he's glad everyone is still trooping through with all the changes in hosts and geography.
Yeah, it's coming up, but there's no special episode anything planned. It'll just be 200.
Yes. No big fanfare.
No.
That's in regards to Keith at the toy show in Florida. He looks like they have similar circles. Last month, he supported a toy show, albeit a smaller one in New Jersey, and it's always fun to relive your youth and see all the toys he played with in the mud outside that are now asking for collector prices. He normally just browse, but since he's not part of the collectible toy scene, but he did see an Arthur figure from Ghouls and Ghosts, and he had to pick it up. I think if I would have saw one of those, I would pick it up as well. Looks like a really cool figurine.
Yeah, I've never seen those before.
Neither had I. And while he was in New Jersey, he visited 2 local arcades, Billy's Midway and Morristown Game Vault, and he shared some pictures of that as well. And regarding when Keith was a Sega kid, he liked how Keith skipped the NES and had a good love for Sega with his 32X and Sega CD. He enjoyed his talk of E-SWAT and RoboCop, spoken like a true Sega fanboy. And regarding the Zaxxon money shot that Keith performed, he loved how Keith mentioned how he played Zaxxon for the commercial to promote the game, to win a Zaxxon cab, and could play well enough to get to the key shot of the cool visuals for filming. It reminds him of a friend that does tech support for a pinball company during promo shoots. He would always perform the trick shots and play modes for the crew to capture.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Majors, as usual, thank you for that feedback. And
yeah, that was awesome.
Some weirdo named Hugh writes in.
What?
He thinks I'm trying to torture people with Impossamole. If I want people to play more TurboGrafx games, maybe don't pick one like that. But he said it's probably not built for him. But and then if he could experience a game for the first time again, which was a question of the episode, Vice City is the first one that comes to mind. He thinks he may have to forget all the other GTAs too. He tried GTA 3 long after all the sequels and couldn't get into it at all. He bets he'd find Vice City all broken and janky if he started it new today. And, he reminds us the Sega Saturn turns 30 in the US in 2 weeks, which was probably... I'm trying to think of when this email came in. That might be now. So curious if anyone bought it at the surprise launch. And I'm going to say no because... I was such a Nintendo 64 fanboy. I just wanted to wait for that. And it felt like a lesser than PlayStation. Like it just felt like PlayStation crushed it.
Yeah, it did.
So I didn't care about it at the time.
Neither did I. And now I'm kind of regretting it. I never got into the Saturn. I'm kind of looking for one now. There's
a cool catalog now and an easy way to update it so you could play all the games on it, not need all the expensive CDs for it.
Yeah, it looks like it was released on May 11th in Japan.
Okay.
So, yeah, in about a week.
And so...
I'm sorry, no. May 11th in North America, November 22nd, 1994 in Japan.
So that'll probably be about the time where this episode launches, so that's perfect. So Hugh and Majors, thank you so much for writing in. If anyone wants to write in, please email us. Email at retrogameclub.net. That is email at retrogameclub.net. We also have socials that Zach takes care of. We have our link tree in the show notes. We're on Discord, which has been really active. A lot of fun stuff in there. In fact, we're one of the listeners we gave a channel to kind of create a virtual golf club. So you could play all different golf games together. It kind of came from that last Switch, it was a Switch 2 announcement where there's a new Everybody's Golf, and some people in the Discord liked that game, even though it's a modern game, to kind of get a golf league going. And so, yeah, some interesting stuff happening in there. And thank you, Zach, for taking care of all that stuff. And we do have a lot of good social media feedback. So we had a question in Discord asked, what game that you've already played do you wish you could experience for the first time again, which Hugh already answered. I'll give my answer first since I put mine in there. Games I would like to experience again for the first time, definitely The Last of Us. I remember that last part of The Last of Us really got me. Blaster Master, absolutely. Oh, yeah. From the first jump in that game, I just knew it was a classic. King's Quest 3, creating a spell for the first time, it was a great feeling. Bonk's Adventure, I got that for Christmas in middle school, and I just played it over and over. Mario 64 for me, I just thought every game was going to play like that from then on out. And then Portal 2, the storytelling and the humor in that game still gets me every time. The end music, all that stuff, just really... Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any that you would want to experience for the first time again?
I think definitely for starters, Super Mario World. I'd love to experience that again for the first time with all the secret exits and the way the map just opens up. There's so much to explore in that game.
Yep. Did you have that when it came out back in the day?
Yes. Yeah, that was my life for quite a while. Definitely the entire Half-Life series,
Yeah, yeah.
all of them. I would include Portal and Portal 2 in that as well.
See, Half-Life, I wish I could say that. It made me car sick, motion sick.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what about that engine did it for me,
Huh.
but because Portal doesn't.
That's weird.
Yeah, yeah. Doom 2 does as well. It's strange. But there was news this morning that as of this morning, Half-Life 3 is playable at Steam. So it's done. They're in the bug fixing phase of it.
Ooh.
So,
So
yeah,
it does exist.
it exists. Yes.
Nice. I think another series I would add to that list would be the Uncharted series.
Oh, that's a great one. Yeah. In fact,
Yeah.
I'm lucky there's
I bought-
one Uncharted game I haven't played. It's the Lost. It's a side quill one.
Oh, the one with the two girls.
Yeah, yeah. I heard it's
Yeah.
fantastic too.
It is. It's great. I bought the entire series. As a lot of people, I've had a lot of back surgeries over the years, and whenever I know I'm having a back surgery coming up, I always, backlog some games, and I had heard a lot of good stories about the Uncharted series, so I went up and bought the collection that they released, and all the extra Uncharted 4 and that offshoot game, and just sat and played them all for a month straight. Went through one of them back to back to back, and it was just amazing.
Yeah, what a great time. Yeah, those games are so polished and still, yeah, they feel like they make those systems, sing, and they even feel modern today, even not playing the remasters and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Did you play the one that's on the Vita? Golden?
No, I did
something?
not. I've never owned a Vita.
That's a good one. It's probably it's definitely one of the worst ones, but it's still great. You know what I mean?
Oh, good. Yeah.
Let's see. What our listeners say? Super Mario Brothers. It completely rewired his brain. Someone else writes in saying Eternal Darkness.
That's a good pick.
Yeah. I think his memory card was deleted or something. Blue from Gamers Week writes in saying that she doesn't have any she'd like to play again. And when a game speaks to you, it's a combination of both the game and where you were at that point in your life, and that is a good. That's definitely true, and I think that's what he was kind of saying with GTA 3.
Mm-hmm.
Someone writes in Final Fantasy X. Let's see, Starsky writes in Half-Life, like you said, Crystalis, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy 7 and 9. Let's see who. Someone else writes in with Skies of Arcadia, Fantasy Star 1, Fantasy Star Portable 2, Infinity. I haven't played any of those.
Neither have I.
Let's see. Retro Gaming Dev, who Nate, I thought was you in Discord for a while. A Link to the Past, Final Fantasy VI, and Chrono Trigger. Zach, this weirdo named Zach, writes in.
Oh.
Super Metroid and Portal 2, both good ones. Someone else writes in. It's Eric from Pacific Northwest, one of our original listeners. Portal 2, Last of Us, Half-Life 1, Baldur's Gate 1, Fallout 2, and Witcher 3. And let's see, we have answers for other questions. What's your approach to open world games? Someone writes in saying he just finished Echoes of Wisdom and really just picked away at the side quests until he had to do the main quest. So really just side questing hard,
Yeah.
And a game this is Robert that writes in, a game that he could experience again for the first time, Ultima 4. Yeah. I haven't really got into the Ultima games, but I heard 4 is exceptionally good.
If you're going to play any of them, 4 is probably the best one to play.
I feel bad. I want to play those games, but some of them, they just feel so like a bit too retro for me,
Yeah, I get to see that.
Let's see. Chris writes in, what gaming magazines from the 70s, 90s were your favorite? He says EGM, Game Fan, and Game Pro. And for what's the most amount of money you've ever spent playing a game in the arcade, he would say Street Fighter 2. Yeah. And that I could see that definitely easy. And have you ever imported a game from Japan? He did many times. I could say it wasn't easy. You would have to go to a catalog. It was poorly translated. And the games were, $80 to $100, and you hope you picked a good one.
Yep.
And then what arcade cabinet would you like the opportunity to play? Someone writes Stun Runner. And yeah, I agree. I think that's one of my favorite arcade cabinets. And
Yeah.
and he would love to try the Afterburner game with full motion. And again, that is a fantastic one.
That is.
And so our next question of the episode, what video game series do you think needs to be adapted into a movie or a show? And again, that email address is email@retrogameclub.net. That is email@retrogameclub.net. Or get on our socials, our Discord. Our link tree is in our show notes. And Nate, thank you so much for being here. I cannot wait to see Doodle World 2 and all the other games you create in the future.
Oh, thank you. It was a blast. We'll have to do this again sometime.
Absolutely, yep. And if you happen to play, your favorite Tiny Toon Adventures or my Game Club Kicks, please write in and let us know how it goes.
Will do.